and welcome to today's conversation. Welcome to Relationship Builders Forum. My name is Amara, and today I would be bringing you an amazing conversation, and I'm sure you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy this. Now, if you are new on our channel, I want to bid you a warm welcome, and I want to ask that you kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so when we put content out. And to all our returning subscribers, it's always a joy to have you join in today's conversation. Now, today, I want to take a moment to talk about time. I feel this is such an important conversation. I know some people have heard about time, don't waste time, time is useful, time waits for no one. But surprisingly, do you know that this is one of the best resources that we have in our relationship that I don't think we well to our advantage enough? We waste time. Time is a valuable resource. Time is finite. I mean, if you think about how time is measured in time, so you're looking at the clock system, it's measured in hours, it's measured in people's years. And how much time do we spend wasting time, right? It sounds like an alliteration, right? It's really important that we focus today just talking about time, because when we have an opportunity to spend time with, or somebody says, oh, I pledge my whole life to you, what that person is doing is that they are gifting you a fraction of their eternity. They're allowing you to spend or just be a part of their life. And I don't think anybody should take that for granted. But sadly, in a lot of relationships, we do not even see time as valuable. We spend a lot of time wasting time. And I just want to talk about ways that we waste time, one of which is screen time. Now, in an age where it is fast-paced, there's a lot happening, social media, now there's a lot of instant messaging. We have a lot of things just at the palm of our hands, our mobile devices. We tend to waste time focusing on trying to establish relationships with people that are not physically present with us. And we spend limited time investing in the relationship that we have. In as much as social media is fantastic, technology is great. However, it should not replace the quality time that you should be spending with that person in your life, that individual in your life. So I'd say excessive social media, excessive gaming, excessive watching of videos, excessive whatever it is. I think it's just a waste of time, because that is valuable time that should have been spent investing it with your other or your significant other. And I think it's really important. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is around the lack of quality time. Sometimes you are present in the body, but you are not engaging with that person. And I think it's really important. Sadly, we spend so much time with sitting by each other, but then we are engaged with different things. We kind of zoned out into different spaces. Now, there's been a statistics, and I just want to quote this statistics correctly. A study that was done by the Journal of Marriage and Family, and they found that couples, I think it was in the United States, they said they spend an average of only 3.5 minutes per day in meaningful conversation. We have 24 hours in one day. And based on this study, they found that couples spend 3.5 minutes a day out of 24 hours having meaningful conversation. It's shocking, right? Really shocking. And I do not understand, and this speaks to some of the underlying problems that a lot of people have in relationship, where you actually went into this relationship wanting to live life, do life with this individual, and only to come into that relationship and you don't care anymore. You're not invested in that relationship. And I think it's all we've been caught up with the fast pace of life, the hustle and bustle, our jobs, the need for survival, the need to put food on our table and all of that, which is great. But that shouldn't replace what is most important, which is our relationship. What the statistics suggest is that a lot of couples struggle in spending meaningful time together. Now, it is really important that if you value something, you create time for that. A lot of times couples sit with us and we're having this conversation about what has gone wrong or what is going right in their relationship. And I think that fundamentally, a lot of that comes to lack of quality time. They haven't spent time well enough with each other like they used to do many years ago when, the fire was still on, and, they're all over themselves, and they're over the moon, and just they've come to a time where everything just comes to a standstill. It's down to rekindling that fire, but that it cannot be done in a vacuum. It has to be done when you engage in meaningful conversation. You engage in heart talk, not superficial conversation. And it's all down to your ability to carve out time, quality time with your significant other. Another time waster in relationship is conflict. Now, I say that conflict is inevitable. In any relationship, they're bound to, at some point, you're bound to have a conflict. But the fact is, you don't stay there. I see couples every single time, and a chunk of their life is spent in conflict. Not resolving conflict, but actually in conflict. They are in conflict, they decide to stay there, they're not moving away from there, constantly trying to rehearse what has happened, how did it happen. That's beside the point. It's about how we navigate going forward. And I think that this is the critical aspect of conflict resolution that people take a long time to get to. Now, the Gottman Institute did a study, and they say that it takes an average of 6 years for couples who are actually going through a conflict to seek help. And that speaks to the fact that this contributes to wasting a lot of time in relationship that should have been meaningfully given to resolving that conflict and giving the best to that relationship. Sadly, if you understand how much we lose by wasting time, not building each other. And I just want to stop at this point to say that no one is perfect. No one is perfect in any relationship. I'm not perfect in my relationship. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. And it's not about beating ourselves too hard, because that is not the point of the relationship. The point of the relationship is that we become a better version of ourselves. And the relationship gives us a safe space to be able to fail and learn and navigate forward. And I think when we have a conflict and we decide to get stuck there, we're not making any movement. It's high time that we extended grace to each other in relationship, and understanding that no relationship is perfect. And maybe if we come to that point where we recognize the fact that no relationship is perfect, I think we would embrace conflict from a positive standpoint rather than from a negative standpoint. Because I think that sometimes we're stuck in this mindset of avoiding conflict. It's great, but when it happens, we can embrace that and say, hey, we see that this is a conflict, and we see we're not meeting each other, and there's some friction here. How do we weld this to our advantage? And it's about extending grace. It's not about beating each other down. And this is something that we tend to do. Most times we're in a relationship, we are head down, beating each other, trying to ensure that we get people to a point where they feel less of themselves. And I think if we do that in our relationship, it's counterproductive, because it's all a waste of time. Think about this for a moment. You have that privilege, a rare privilege in this life, in this world, to be able to be a part of building somebody's life. You have a rare opportunity to be able to just be with someone and bring out the best in another individual. And I think that this is something that is so precious, something we should hold dear to ourselves and be able to support each other beyond the point where we encounter and experience conflict. The other point to raise is procrastination and avoidance. Procrastinating, discussing very important issue, avoiding having challenging discussion in the relationship, I think it leads to a lot of time wasting. Postponing discussions that would be an opportunity for growth and resolution can prolong relationship challenges. Now think about how many times you will always put things to the back because it's so difficult. This challenge is so difficult that I don't want to face it head on. It is challenging. I remember a time at some point in my relationship with my husband, and we were in a season, we're navigating a rough patch at the time. And in my mind, I didn't want to have that conversation because I couldn't trust, number one, my emotions and how I was likely to react in that moment. Secondly, I felt that I was going to be judged by him. So it was a very difficult conversation. I'm not going to be having that conversation with him because, number one, nobody wants to feel judged. Nobody wants to be. Criticism, they say, is great if it's constructive, but it's still difficult to have constructive criticism given to you. And that was something I think I wasn't prepared for mentally. And I avoided having that conversation for many weeks. And eventually, when we had that conversation, I felt like, wow, this should have happened way before. And that was because of how it was approached. I think I feared the outcome more than what really happened. And think about all the weeks that had gone by with me having that looming over my head and unresolved. That was valuable time wasted. Time that would have been invested in me enjoying that relationship. Time that would have been invested in me tending the relationship and bringing the relationship to the next phase positively. I just wasted that because I was procrastinating dealing with that. I was avoiding having that difficult conversation. So what is that issue today? Bring it forward, have that conversation. And I say it has to be a civilized conversation. You have to do it respectfully and not putting down each other, and making sure that the objective is that both of you feel great with yourself. I always say that whatever the issue is, it's totally insignificant. It's not about the issue. It's about your relationship. It's about how you both feel about yourself. The issue is insignificant, and I think that takes a lot of value away from what you are supposed to be enjoying together. Do not procrastinate. Set out some time today, set out some time this week, set out a safe space where you can have difficult conversation and nip it in the bud. Have that conversation and see your relationship thrive. Another point I think is so important is the lack of emotional availability. A lot of people bottle up emotions. They keep things inside, and sometimes it's staying until one day, whoa, they explode. And you're like, just one tiny thing that happens, and you're like, what was that for? And that's because there's been a lot of emotion that's been kept in over time, just waiting to come up. Look, we are not designed to keep emotions in. Humans are not designed to keep emotions in. Whether it's positive emotion or negative emotion, you have to let it out. Joy is something you express. Love is something you express, you give. You don't keep to yourself. The same would happen if you've got a lot of pent up emotions, anger, strife, annoyance, whatever it is. You're so disturbed with something and it's all inside. Because we are not designed to keep things inside, one day, somewhere, it's gonna come out. And I say that there's a lot of time that's been wasted, valuable time in relationship, wasted in keeping things inside. If you can recognize the fact that one day this is going to come out, and it might come out in a way that will spin out of control, it will spiral out of control, I will not be in control of it, then it's best to be able to manage how you let out your emotions. Find a way to talk about it. And people say, but they don't understand. They'll never understand it when I talk about it. Try and make them understand. It's difficult. Is it not surprising that somebody that we decide to spend our life with, at some point in our life, in our journey together, we understood them, we could get them, we could communicate effectively, we could read their mind. The question is, what's happening now? Why are you finding it difficult to connect? Why are you finding it difficult to understand them? My point here being is that there was a time that you understood them, and that means that it is possible to understand them. But it's about finding what's the missing piece, what really went wrong, And I know some people might be watching this and say, well, it takes two to tango. I totally get that, because you need to hear both sides. I might be feeling like, yes, I want this to work, but what about the other party? You cannot give up on them, because this is a rare opportunity, and you might find different ways to try and just touch them, try and have that conversation with them. At least try to let that out, because I think that if it's a relationship that you really want to see through, you want to flourish, you want to tend that relationship, I would say that the lack or you bottling things inside is likely to impact on your relationship negatively. It has to be expressed. Now imagine how much time we fail to express the love that we have with someone just because we're bottling down a lot of negative emotions. Your inability to express your emotions can actually hinder the progress of your relationship. And I'll say it's high time that you audited that relationship. Sit down and be real with each other. If you want to stay there, and this is a relationship that you really want to keep, you have to be real with each other and say, look, that isn't working, we need to fix this. And let me say finally is that one of the most precious things in life that we have been given to by God is the gift of relationship. And it takes a lot of time to tend good relationship. Any relationship you see out there that looks fantastic, that looks amazing, it's like, oh, I wish that's my relationship. Look, that has taken a lot of time for them to get there. It didn't mean that they didn't have to navigate challenges. They had seasons, but what was very important to note there is that they went through that season together and they didn't lose themselves in the process of going through that season. You can do the same. And it's about how, think through, audit your relationship right now and ask yourself, where am I actually wasting time in my relationship today? Where am I actually wasting my life in my relationship today? Where do I have the opportunity to be able to enrich my significant other and I am totally wasting that opportunity by not doing that? And audit that, find that particular issue, nip it in the bud. And some of you might be listening to me right now and you feel like, I haven't quite touched on this and I haven't quite touched on that. Now, I would really want to hear what your thoughts are. And if you please could share that in the comment section, let me know what you think. Maybe some of what I've said or how did it resonate with you, please let me know also in the comment section. And if there's something you felt that needed to be addressed a bit more, also let me know that also in the comment section. And feel free to share this video with people who would find value from this video. Because I believe that time is so precious and we don't have all the time in this world to make a difference. Our lives are finite, our lives are limited. We're only here for a certain time or a certain duration. The question is, will you make that life count? Will you make your time count with that other person? Every time we have an opportunity to spend time with someone, we are leaving them with something that is so precious, something that cannot be bought or sold. And that's the gift of our life. And we must make it count, because if somebody must remember me, they have to have good memories of me. And that is what relationship is about, creating amazing memories such that when we are on the other side of life, people will have something to remember us by. And I hope this was useful to you today. If it did, please give us a thumbs up, give us a like to share this video. And if you forgot to subscribe because you found it super interesting and you forgot to subscribe, now is the time to do that. Until the next one, it's goodbye. We love you.